My name is Dr. John Skrzypaszek. I'm the director of the Ellen G. White Research Center at Avondale College of Advanced Education. Contemporary life is complex. As never before, people search for meaning of life, purpose, and self-understanding or identity. They ask questions. How does heritage or past relate to our life today? What can we recapture from the past? And this is one of the fascinating part of my research, because I'm researching the stories of people who had a passionate experience with God. But having said that, as I look at history, does it mean that we just recapture information about the past, or is there something more? Ellen White, one of the founders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, made an interesting comment. Let me share it with you. The dealings of God with His people should be often repeated, lest they forget the history of the past. He commanded Moses to frame these events into song, that parents might teach them to their children. Let us look to the monumental pillars, remember of what the Lord has done to comfort us and to save us. What she is actually saying, and what I'm hearing that she's saying, is that we need to remember people's experiential journey with God. And then she moves on to say, let us keep fresh in our memory all the tender mercies that God has shown to us, the tears He has wiped away, the pains He soothed, the anxieties He removed, the tears dispelled, all wants supplied, the blessing bestowed, thus strengthening ourselves for all that is before us through the reminder of our pilgrimage. What is fascinating in this statement, that it's not a recollection of the past alone that is relevant, but what we experience and how we apply God's presence into contemporary life, not only for today, but for the future. In context of that, if I ask the question, so what do I recapture from the past? Is it just a matter of recapturing certain quotations of what people have said, or is there something more deeper? Let me give you one example, very brief example. Ellen White arrived in Australia in December 1991. Immediately she moved to Melbourne, and 1902 became one of the most discouraging period of her life experientially. She had a vision what she wanted to do, but she became very, very sick. She could not function. Doctors said that she would never walk again. During this traumatic time, she asked reasonable questions. God, where are you? Why are you not answering my prayers? I struggle in my life. And what I have noticed, that during those crucial moments, she began to reflect biblically. She reflected on the story, well-known story from the Bible, of Martha, Mary, and Lazarus. The concept of delay. She immediately understood that sometimes we need to trust God experientially. He may not answer our prayers immediately. And then she moves on to describe the promises of God. And she says that in the presence of those promises, I've experienced something uplifting. I could sense the presence of God. Why am I sharing briefly that story, which I encourage you to read? Because in her book, The Desire of Ages, she then explored the idea in the chapter that she wrote about Lazarus, Martha, and Mary, not only from her biblical reflections, not only from revelation that she could receive from God, but from a personal experience, from personal struggles. You see, God speaks to us through the power of the experience that we have. And how does it relate to contemporary research? Well, it's quite interesting. One of the researchers that I came across, Elizabeth Hallas from the University of Warsaw, made an interesting comment, and this is what she said. Memory, the things that we remember and we recapture from the past, cannot be reduced only to a set of ideas about the past, because it is linked with action, and thus with orientation towards the future. I would like to propose to you that as we look at history, we need to recapture the reality of people's struggle with life. People who search for meaning, people who search for understanding how God fits into their experience. More so, people who experience God. And as Ellen White suggests herself, greater light shines upon us than shone upon our fathers. We cannot be accepted or honored of God in rendering the same service or doing the same works that our fathers did. In order to be accepted and blessed of God as they were, we must imitate, listen carefully, their faithfulness, zeal, and passion. Improve our life as they improved theirs, and do so as they would have done had they lived in our day. We must walk in the light which shines upon us. Meaning, we need to recapture from the past history stories of passion, commitment, struggle with life, and a search for meaning, and the ability to discover and sense God's presence in life. It needs to be an experiential process, and with that, we recapture passion, commitment, which enables us to move on our spiritual journey.